Hi guys, it's Stephanie Grams with stephaniegrams.com, and I thought I'd go live in a different area. So this is August 28th, 2021, and I am talking about um, starting your memory bear sewing business. Really, if it's a sewing business, all of this is relevant. Um, let's see. I mainly focus on memory bears and sentimental sewing, but I can answer questions with other sewing business if you have questions on that. So, we've already talked about the planning phase, marketing, and business structures. Today, we're talking about products and services. And as always, I have my ebook still available. You can buy that online until September, and then it most likely will be taken down. But today is products and services. So I go in more depth in my ebook than I am in this video, because this video could last over an hour if I talk the whole time. And I'm not going to do that to you. Um, this is not in any type of order. It just falls under the heading of products and services. So you would want a designated workspace. So when I took my very first memory bear order, my workspace was the dining room table. And we lived in a very tiny little house, and I made the space work. But one thing that I did is, if you have any children or pets, you know that the dining area is where the main foot traffic typically is. Maybe not in your house, but it was in mine at that time. And I wanted to make sure I took extra care of this customer's clothes, because it belonged to her deceased grandfather, and the memory bears, there were 5 in my very first order. Um, she wanted these as a gift to her siblings. So what I did was I bought one of those. They're like a 20 or 30 gallon plastic bin with a snapping lid. So I kept all of the material, all of her clothing in that, because nothing could get spilled on it. It wouldn't pick up any scents like candles, air fresheners, anything that we were cooking. So I didn't want any scents from my living to get on her clothes. You want a designated area. That's ideal. But like I said, I didn't have an attic. I didn't have an extra room. I didn't have a basement. Didn't have a hallway. I mean, literally, this house was little bitty tiny house at that time with 5 of us. So I had to make what I had, the space I had to make that work. I don't have the issue anymore. The Lord's given us a rather large home that we live in now, and so I have a finished basement that is now my sewing and art studio. So, I didn't start out with that, and I just want you to think about where you're at now. Don't let that be a hindrance that you can't offer this service just because you have limited space. That's not necessarily going to be a problem if you do your due diligence and you look around and make sure that the customer's clothes are in a waterproof, scent proof, uh, not bucket, but basket or something like that with a lockable lid. So that's what I did for the first 2 or 3 years. Actually, yes, 17, 18, 19, 20, 3 years, actually. So at one point, I was sewing in the front room of the apartment we lived in. And long story short, my husband is a respiratory therapist. So for 8 years, we traveled for private companies. So I took my sewing business on the road with me, never had a problem with that. My customers had no problems mailing in their clothes or trusting me or trusting the mail. We always insured the packages. When they mailed the clothes, they had insurance and tracking. When I mailed the finished product back, there was insurance and also tracking. And then I have a special way of packing all of the memory bears, and I also teach that in my online classes. So all this information can be found at stephaniegrams.com. All right, number 2, under products and services, is order your supplies. Keep supplies on hand. Keep your scissors sharp and save those strictly for fabric. Don't use your fabric scissors for cutting patterns. You don't want to dull the blade, and you don't want to use paper cutting scissors or craft scissors on the clothing that you get because it could ruin the fibers. So order your supplies, keep them up, away from children, away from your loved ones, your spouse, whoever is living with you that might think that they can take it and cut coupons with it. Okay, so other supplies, if you're working on a budget, you may not be able to buy a 20 or 30-pound box of polyfill and don't feel that you need to. A typical bag of polyfill can fill 3 18-inch memory bears. And I think I've paid maybe $10 for the polyfill. I just buy it at Walmart. And again, let your customers know the choices for the polyfill. They may want the luxurious type of stuffing. Always use new stuffing. I have seen some memory bear people using stuffing from used things, and please don't be that person. Please make sure that you are using all new materials, all new supplies. I know we probably shouldn't even have to talk about that, but really you need to be very sanitary when you are creating memory bears and other sentimental sewing items. And again, I go in depth on this in the classes. All right, create sample products. Again, you don't have to have an outside customer be your first customer. You can be your first customer. Find your favorite things, make a bear, make a dinosaur, make a sloth, make whatever it is that you want to offer, make that for yourself. It's good practice for you. It builds your confidence in your sewing skills. You can show off what you've made. Nobody has to know you made it for yourself. That's something you can keep to yourself. You can be your first customer. So remember that. Now, let's see here. Create an inventory list. Again, I do offer an inventory list for memory bears and related sentimental sewing items. That does come with my classes. Inventory is very important with all businesses, right? But when I'm talking about memory bears and sentimental sewing, the inventory is a little bit different. Don't go into debt with this because it's not worth going into debt. But I do want to stress what I did in 2020. I'm going to repeat in 2021. With the way the world is right now, with issues that we're facing, and shipping is what I'm referring to right now. Shipping, delivery, our products may not be made in the United States. And what I mean by that are the safety eyes and the safety nose. Those are probably not made in the United States. They might be. I'm not saying, you might have a supplier in the US and that's great. But kind of keep that in the back of your mind because right now we're at the end of August, which I can't even believe that. But our companies are getting geared up for the very busy season for the United States, and that's typically Christmas. I have a lot of orders in Christmas and Valentine's Day. So those are, at least for me and my company, that's when I have an influx of customers. And I have scaled my business back tremendously on purpose because of other reasons. I have expanded my company, my LLC. So my LLC, I may not have mentioned it yet, is Sewing with Steam LLC, and STEAM stands for Sewing Together, Encouragement, and Memories, what was it? Anyways, whatever. Sewing Together, Encouragement, and Meaning. Sorry, totally lost track of my thoughts there. Anyway, so, my LLC has changed and has grown literally tremendously in 2021. So think of your inventory, think of the list as you think of things that you need for your own company. I would write it down. I am a fan of an Excel sheet. You don't have to use Excel if you don't want to, but I totally love Excel. And then you will want to create a price list. So pricing, I get questions weekly about pricing. And this is something I go in depth with and have in my free private Facebook group. But in a nutshell, pricing is personal to you. Saying that, there is a science behind pricing your products, and just wearing the badge that you make a bear for $35 while other people are charging $55 a nut, blah, 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 doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. And I don't want to sound negative, but advertising the cheapest price for something that's custom made is not a good idea. That can actually ruin your business. It can burn you out, and it can not give you the best reputation for your services. There is a saying that you get what you pay for, and that does apply to us in the memory bear and sentimental sewing business. And you, wherever you live, whatever your zip code is, you may be charging $35 and have a long list of people waiting for your services. I think that's fantastic. I really do. But that pricing where I live would never fly. I do not live in a wealthy area, but the people that are entrusting me with their loved ones' clothing they do not believe in a memory bear and a professional one should be that cheap. So pricing, again, it's personal, but there is a competitive edge that you can have with that pricing. And if you rewind or go through my playlist, I touched on that topic already. So if you have other questions, just let me know. But this is something that I do talk about in my online classes, and I have touched that in the YouTube playlist, and also my Facebook group. Just know that what works for you when it comes to pricing doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person. And if it works for the other person, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. All right. So keep that in mind. And I hope that you're finding, nuggets of information. I have 3 more days of content to go. And then we were moving into September. And I just want to let you know that September is going to be a doozy of a month. I am offering quite a bit of value, but you have to be on my newsletter list to find out what those details are. All right, guys. So again, it's StephanieGrams.com. And you could probably search me other ways, but I am the Memory Bear business coach. I might not be the oldest Memory Bear business owner, but I'm pretty good at what I do. All right, guys. Have a good day.